UK, wishing you and yours the happiest of holidays and hoping that the yours in your family keep their political opinions to themselves this year.
The Maggie Dawn Show.
Cindy from Appleton.
Time Magazine has made the convicted felon the man of the year this year. Shame on them.
Time Magazine base their person of the year on impact and like news making. The CEO assassination is pretty much the only news cycle that
Live from the Civic Media World Headquarters in Madison, Wisconsin, it's the Todd Allbaugh Show. And now, pursuing truth wherever it may lead, here's your host, Todd Allbaugh.
Across Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network and streaming worldwide on the Civic Media app. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Todd Allbaugh, along with the outstanding producer, Mr. Aaron Zommers, on the board. It is 6 past the hour of 12 noon on this Monday, December 23rd, 2024. Welcome in to another work week. Some places not going back to school. I know a lot of universities probably, some universities, when I was going to school, would have a final right up until like 5 p.m. on the 23rd, which I think should be banned, by the way.
I agree.
But I said, well, maybe some public and private schools are having classes today, but I think most started their Christmas winter holiday vacation today.
I know. I went to Lawrence University in Appleton. They have trimesters, so they have a long winter break. And I think the idea was, let people go home when they don't have, and so they don't have to pay as much for the heating bills.
Oh, very good.
But it turns out when half your school is a conservatory of music and there are very expensive pianos in every room, you have to pay the heating bills anyway. So that didn't really work out.
You got to pay it anyway. I'm not sure if I mentioned, it's a great day to be a Wisconsinite. Have you had we're not doing, like I said, we got to the point in my family, we don't do a lot of gift exchange or giving anymore. But for those that do, I know there are a lot of people that are still out there shopping today into tonight, into tomorrow. Pack your patience, show a little grace to all those great retail folks out there working behind the cash registers and on the floors. I have been there folding pants meticulously on Christmas Eve. But it's also fun because you're there to help your guests and your customers and try to find that perfect gift for them. So it's a busy time of year for a lot of people. Hanukkah this year, for the first time in years, falling on the same week as Christmas. So 25th, first night of Hanukkah. So coming up to say happy Hanukkah to all of our Jewish friends out there as well. And Merry Christmas and happy Kwanzaa and happy holidays. Right?
Yeah, happy holidays.
It's the happy holiday time of the year. Big show for you today. Have my Packer gear on for those watching on the stream on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, what have you. Packer helmet here on the counter. Green Bay Packers, a little Monday Night Football tonight. 5 p.m. pregame broadcast taking on the New Orleans Saints. You can hear the game live on WRCL 100.9 FM in Richland Center, WCQM 98.3 FM in Park Falls, and WRJN 99.5 FM and 1400 AM in Racine and 98.1 FM in Kenosha. Those are great Green Bay Packer affiliates. If you don't live in one of those communities, remember, we're not allowed to stream the Packers games on the Civic Media app because, the NFL owns the rights. They get a little bit touchy about that. So, but in Richland Center, Park Falls, Racine, and Kenosha, you can listen to it over the air on our fine Civic Media stations. It's a big game. We're going to be talking about it quite a bit today. At the bottom of this hour, Brady Ewing, three-time Big Ten champion, former captain of the Badger football team here in Madison. Also spent 3 years in the NFL with Atlanta and Jacksonville, respectively. He will be in live. Talk a little Packer preview. Also some Badger sports. I'm not sure if you follow this or not, but it is like a rotating carousel over at Camp Randall on Monroe Street right now with the Badger football lineup. I mean, it's nuts. Going to talk to Brady a little bit about that. And also having 4 boys, young children. What does the Christmas holiday mean to him? So all of that and more with Brady Ewing coming up a little bit later. And then in hour 2 at 1:30, our very own sports reporter Mike Clemens will be reporting to us live from Green Bay, Wisconsin. Give us the latest, who's in, who's out, as far as Packer roster, injury update. What's the weather like as well? Mike Clemens, nobody better to give us the Packer news right here at 1:30. Your phone calls as well. We have a What's Worse in hour 2 as well. And Mr. Zommers has a board game of the week, something that you might want to play with your friends and family over the holiday weekend, right?
I actually have it here with me. It's a nice little stocking stuffer.
Really?
It's pretty new. A lot of game stores have it.
All right.
So I'll tell you about it later.
All right. All that and more coming up on today's show. But first of all, let me just say congratulations and thank you to our friend and colleague, Jay Matnair and Greg Bach of Matnair on Air. And once again, and just the fact that I'm here should have told you that somehow, some way, through your grace, through your pity, and your texts, Zommers and I were able to eke out a win internally in our grown-up gift list text-to-win contest on Friday. Jane and Greg were ahead going into the hour, I found out afterwards. But simply by playing on your pity, and quite frankly, I think Jane calling in on the show only helped us.
Oh, definitely.
So, she may have done herself in. No.
But it was close.
It's always fun, and this is what the fun of having great colleagues like Jane and Greg, because you can have fun with it. You kind of tease yourself because you care about each other and have some fun. But at the end of the day, it's really all about you, the listeners, and getting you all to participate, and then more chances for you, our great listeners, to win some of these great prizes as soon as we know. And I know the computer drew the 8 grand prize entries on Friday, and I believe they're still reaching out to contact some of those folks. So as soon as they've been contacted and confirmed, we will pass on who those big grand prize winners were. But again, many thanks to Aaron Carreno, our vice president, and Sage Weil, our owner and CEO, who's really also our key tech guy, for putting all that together. Also, many thanks to the Chula Vista Resort in Wisconsin Dells for all of those overnight getaways that they participated in. Chula Vista, a great place to go and relax any time of the year up at Wisconsin Dells, and also all of our great sponsors who helped out with those grand prizes as well. So there you go. We managed to eke out a win. We thank you for that. You've kept us on the air for at least a couple more months until the next one comes along. So we'll see. But many thanks to all of you for playing along on that great trivia as well. Let's take a look at a couple of headlines for you. We're going to get to what happened over the weekend on Friday. We talked a lot about that continuing resolution in Congress, which they managed to cobble together and passed. So the government did not shut down. And over the weekend, President Biden looking at signing it. We'll tell you a couple of key things that were in and out in that, and also bring you a cut from Republican Senator Kennedy of Louisiana. And you want to see how our tax dollars are being spent? We're going to give you an actual cut as time was ticking out on Thursday into Friday. Tick, 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 tick. Time was running out, and Kennedy took the floor. And just going to floor you what he talked about. So anyway, we're going to talk about that in a minute as well. But right now, breaking over the last couple of hours or so this morning, the House Ethics Committee has released the detailed report of their investigation into now former Congressman of Florida, Republican Matt Gaetz. Look, I'm not doing an hour on this, but I think it's important to bring you some of these details. Because perhaps the most egregious thing, well, I shouldn't say that. I was going to say the most egregious thing is the fact that the Trump transition team certainly knew about most, if not all, of these things and still put him forward as a serious attorney general nominee. But I'm going to correct myself quickly. The most egregious thing is the fact that it turns out, and I've not read the entire report, I'm reading detailed highlights from other reporters, but it appears that many of these women who are allegedly, and I have to throw that in there for a legal term, many of these women who are allegedly sexually taken advantage of by Matt Gaetz were folks who were on low or poor income, struggling, and were put under the influence of drugs and alcohol in exchange for relatively to Matt Gaetz a small amount of money, but to them was perhaps life-sustaining, allegedly.
Including a 17-year-old.
Yes. So here's the bombshell analysis of the Matt Gaetz ethics report. And it isn't just a scandal, it's a bombshell packed with evidence of illegal payments for sex, as Zahmer said, including allegedly a 17-year-old, drug-fueled parties, and the abuse of congressional privilege. From tens of thousands of dollars funneled through Venmo for quote-unquote dates, to a Bahamas trip described as a paid orgy, to connections with a convicted sex trafficker facilitating it all. The details are staggering. But it doesn't stop there. Pseudo-anonymous email accounts, accusations of coercion, and the attempted burying of evidence through a sudden resignation all paint a damning picture. This analysis put together by reporter Brian Allen. Number one, paying for sex. Gaetz made over allegedly 20 separate payments for sex, sending tens of thousands of dollars through Venmo, PayPal, and a Cash App. Among them, as Amr said, allegedly a 17-year-old girl. A 2018 Bahamas trip with flights and accommodations gifted involved group sex as payments, all while Gaetz used ecstasy and cocaine as corroborated by witnesses. Number two, a connection to Joel Greenberg. Greenberg, Gaetz's closest associate and convicted sex trafficker, facilitated Gaetz's encounters with women via the sugar dating website seekingarrangement.com. Never heard of that one. Thank goodness. Text messages and financial records show that Greenberg acted as a middleman, even coordinating with Gaetz's then actual girlfriend to arrange these quote-unquote dates. And among them, as we said, was the exploitation of an alleged 17-year-old. Number four, drug use and fake communications. Gaetz regularly used ecstasy, cocaine, and marijuana during these encounters, as confirmed by multiple witnesses. He reportedly set up pseudo-anonymous email accounts in Congress to purchase marijuana. A flagrant abuse of office. Setting up congressional email accounts paid for with our tax money. Number five, the Bahamas trip and ethical breaches. Gaetz's 2018 Bahamas trip, which involved flights and accommodations far exceeding house gift rules, doubled as a paid sex retreat. Testimonies describe sexual encounters with at least 4 women, including exchanges described as quid pro quo for participation. Number 6, witness intimidation and retaliation fears. Many women feared coming forward, with one stating she couldn't fully consent due to drug influence. Another said, I saw him on TV and feel powerless. Come back. More of these details and your phone calls as well. It's the Todd Allbaugh Show for a Monday, December 13th, 23rd, 2024 on the Civic Media Radio Network.
A voice for Madison. Real news and great conversation. 92.7 WMDX.
Attention. If you suffer from consistent pain in your joints caused by arthritis, overuse, or injury, you may
Tom,
be a
I don't
candidate
know
for a
the list on the app.
revolutionary
I don't know about the
Vitalize damaged
E15 alcohol fuel part of it, but I can bring it up.
Relief from pain in your knees, shoulders, hips, and other joints with no surgery, no drugs, and no downtime. To find out if you're
Dave, you
available
play the
to
text to win
reach
game,
request
says,
to
I couldn't
contact
win a kick in the nuts.
Genetics.
Oh, come on, Dave. Maybe you won a big prize. We haven't gotten a hold of you yet. You never know.
Instead of masking the symptoms, it goes to the root of the problem to resolve it at its source. Already used by thousands of satisfied patients nationwide, this joint pain therapy is available right now to the public, but only for qualified candidates. Again, to find out if you're a viable candidate for this therapy, you may request a free consultation by calling QC Kinetics at 608-384-0897. That's 608-384-0897.
Celebrate New Year's Eve in the heart of downtown at the Madison Concourse Hotel and Governor's Club. Usher in 2025 by chilling to live jazz, feasting on a surf and turf dinner, laughing your way through live comedy, and party hopping between disco with VO5, classic country with Frank Martin Bush and the Names, and a DJ dance party.
The out bumper.
When the night is over, your
remember
guest
the
room
story
is a
about
safe,
Mark
warm
Burnett
elevator
and
ride
Apprentice.
away,
So
and you
use
can
the
start
money,
your year
money
off
from
right with our
Apprentice. It'll be out.
outstanding New Year's ballroom brunch. Find your perfect package at concoursehotel.com.
Clothes that fit your style and your life. At Equability, they adapt your jackets, pants, and more for dexterity or mobility challenges. Feel confident, comfortable, and ready for anything. Visit EQUability.co to make your clothes easier to wear today.
This is Gordy with John and Gordy in the Morning on 92.7 WMDX. When you text into our show or any WMDX program, know that our text line is sponsored by Rocket Industrial. Package with less. Visit rocketindustrial.com, and we'll be watching out for your...
Pursuing truth wherever it may lead and having fun doing it. Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. Snow begins to fall right now here in downtown Madison on State Street. Be aware, many of our counties across Wisconsin are winter weather advisories today. Could get slickery out there. Have some precipitation already in western Wisconsin, now moving into south central Wisconsin. The temperature line is right there. And it's all good, and it's not always the air temperature, right? Right now, the sidewalks and the roadways are frozen. I mean, they're below freezing in terms of their temperature. So any precipitation that hits them freezes immediately. So you could see, some people call it black ice because you can see the concrete or the blacktop underneath, but nothing on top. Some people, my grandmother used to call it glare ice. But any precipitation, if the road's not pre-treated, and many of our roads are not, it could get slick real fast. So be aware of that. We'll continue to update you throughout the afternoon. But again, many of our roadways could get slick pretty quickly. 22 now past the hour of 12 noon. Taking a look at some of the details in this House ethics report on former Congressman Republican Matt Gaetz, which have been kept secret, but was released this morning. A couple more of these, and then we'll move on. Number 6 was women intimidation and retaliation fears. Witnesses described an environment of coercion, delaying the investigation and creating a chilling effect. Number 7, Gaetz's resignation and political fallout. Gaetz's resignation during the investigation appeared to be a calculated move to avoid public scrutiny. And remember, I mean, things happen so quickly now, it's easy to forget. The nomination for Matt Gaetz to be Attorney General by Trump, it seemed to happen literally overnight. And reporting that we've seen other places said that he even caught Susie Wiles, the incoming chief of staff to Trump, off guard. And many people believe it was Gaetz who was on a plane with Trump from Mar-a-Lago to D.C. when Trump went up to meet President Biden in the Oval Office. And it was Gaetz who kind of just all of a sudden threw this out on the plane. Nobody else was around. And Trump, being Trump, said, yeah, that's a good idea. Let's do it. It appears that was a calculated move by Gaetz so that he could then resign kind of under weird circumstances to avoid the public scrutiny. Despite his resignation, the Ethics Committee released the report, ensuing the findings would remain on the record. Number 8, weaponization claims and partisan allegations. Gaetz accused the Ethics Committee of targeting him for political reasons, claiming leaks to the press and, of course, a bias in the investigation. Evidence, including text messages, financial transactions, and testimony contradict his claims of a partisan agenda. The report is a damaging account of alleged criminal behavior, ethical violations, and systemic abuse of privilege. While Gates continues to deny wrongdoing, the evidence paints a starkly different picture. Reporting by Brian Allen. And again, let's make clear that the most egregious part of this, allegedly, was the abuse to these women. But secondarily, and close secondarily, was that the Trump team had to have known, believe me, as someone who worked on the Hill, not nearly at that level. But there's this information was known to the Republican House leadership team and was being kept hush-hush. The Trump transition folks knew that some of this stuff existed, at least some of it. And still Trump was willing to put Matt Gaetz forward as the top cop in America. The top cop. Should tell you something. Let's turn a page. This one went under the radar. Not nearly at the level of the story we just talked about, but interesting nonetheless. Mark Burnett. Remember him? The power producer who helped reintroduce President-elect Donald Trump to a national television audience with The Apprentice is being tapped by the president-elect to the newly created post of special envoy to the United Kingdom in his upcoming administration, according to CBS News. Burnett, who was born in London, helped produce hit shows like Survivor on CBS, The Voice on NBC, but is perhaps best known for teaming up with Trump on The Apprentice for NBC, which first aired in 2004. Trump had been well known in real estate and pop culture circles for decades, but The Apprentice helped again make him a household name. Though Trump severed ties with NBC in 2015, the same year he launched his first White House run. A source familiar with the decision told CBS News that Burnett was originally on the list for consideration for U.S. ambassador to the UK. But as a dual national, that made the situation complicated. That selection ultimately went to Republican donor Warren Steffens, CEO and investment bank of Steffens Inc. It's unclear exactly what Burnett's envoy role will consist of. Basically, got to pay this guy off. And look, I don't know Mark Burnett from Adam. Very successful television producer. But there were allegations, let me stress allegations, that Mark Burnett was one of a select handful of people who knew of, we'll call them B-roll tapes. Like when you do a show like The Apprentice, there's all kinds of footage that gets taped that never goes on the air from reality shows. And allegedly, more than one source reported this, allegedly, there were tapes from The Apprentice show where Donald Trump used the N-word to refer to black people, contestants on the show. But that was never released by Burnett and others. Now, maybe there's non-disclosure agreements. Maybe there's a big financial penalty. I don't know. But the fact that that evidence allegedly existed and was never revealed seems kind of interesting. But now that guy, they're going to make him ambassador to the UK. But since he has dual citizenship in both countries, you can't be an ambassador to a country which you also have citizenship to. So they kind of scratched around and said, well, what can we do? Well, let's call him a special envoy. We'll give him an office and some housing. But what's he going to do? I'm not sure. He'll just be a special envoy. Now, wouldn't that be a job, Zommers? A special envoy. That's what I want.
Just a made-up cabinet position?
Just a made-up position. Not like The Apprentice, of course. That was all real. No, it wasn't. You know who is real? Brady Ewing. He'll be in, talk a little Packer, NFL, and Badgers. Don't go anywhere. It's the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Listens real news and great conversation.
Am I calling him?
92.7 WMDX.
I think so. We determined that. I think so, yeah.
Conversations and a whole lot of fun. It's all on your local Civic Media radio station or the Civic Media app.
I'm Stephanie Hoff for the Midwest Farm Report, along with you midday on a Monday. The National Pork Producers Council is disappointed that Congress skipped town before producing a new farm bill or a solution for California's Proposition 12. Both Prop 12 and Massachusetts Question 3 are regulations that have limited the sale of pork products that are not raised by their state standards. NPPC President and CEO Brian Humphreys says fighting this patchwork of regulations will continue to be a priority in 2025.
Bottom line is what these states have done is try to tell farmers in Iowa, in Michigan, in North Carolina, and Pennsylvania how to raise pigs, and that doesn't go well because and so what we've been doing at NPPC is pushing back and asking for federal legislation to stop that type of behavior, and it's not only for the American pork producers, absolutely. We cannot have a patchwork of legislation across the country by which farmers have to comply. But part two is, in the state of California alone, since the implementation of Proposition 12, pork loins have gone up 41%.
Brian Humphreys, along with us, the president and CEO of the National Pork Producers Council. Stick around for more agribusiness news coming your way next.
Can you predict the future? I can't. That's why when I'm planting soybeans, I treat with Heads Up seed treatment. With more than 15 years of research, Heads Up offers proven protection against both white mold and sudden death syndrome. So no matter what the year throws at you, you've already taken that first step to be prepared. Don't let your beans suffer from disease when they're just starting to look their best. Tell your seed dealer you need Heads Up seed treatment. Learn more at headsupst.com.
Giving back. It's at the heart of the Wisconsin farmer, and it starts with supporting the backbones of our community. That's why the Wisconsin Soybean Marketing Board invests in soy foam for our firefighters. Soy foam TF1122
Kathleen in
is the
Libertyville,
first and
yes,
only
we, the American
foam
people, pay for
green
that.
screen certified at the gold level. As a
Civic
PFAS-free
Media, or the
firefighting
industry.
foam, it's safe for you and the environment. A
Well, we
safe
pay for a lot of
future
things,
for your
like
community.
$51 million
Thanks to
of
your
consulting
soy checkoff.
fees.
Learn more at
For the UW system, yeah.
wisoybean.org.
Here at the Midwest Farm Report, we are paying attention to what you're listening to. Here are the top 3 stories that you may have missed last week. At number 3, Choose Wisconsin Chocolate takes us behind the scenes of a local chocolatier. At number 2, we're uncovering some of the challenges that's facing your local produce. And our top story last week, the president of Family Farm Defenders talks about the fight for food sovereignty and small farms. You can find these stories on our podcast page at MidwestFarmReport.com. As a wintry mix comes through areas of Wisconsin today, we wish you safe travels as you head to your holiday celebrations. I'll catch you back here same time tomorrow. For the Midwest Farm Report, I'm Stephanie Hoff.
You can always continue the conversation on social media. Share your thoughts when you find and follow Civic Media on Facebook, X, and Instagram.
Be careful driving out there. Some slick and slippery, icy spots are possible as a chance of freezing drizzle, snow, and regular rain rolls in. High temperatures today will reach the mid-30s and slide to the upper 20s tonight. And as we wake up tomorrow morning, patchy fog is possible. I'm meteorologist Brittany Merlot. Right now, it's 35.
Santa gets the headlines, but those that know Mrs. Claus runs the North Pole.
The Aaron Weber Group at Compass. Smart, efficient, and they always deliver. Not waiting till the night before like some people.
I can't hear you, you know, dear. So when it comes to buying or selling in Madison, move to Madison.com and the Aaron Weber Group are the smart choice. I've been hinting at moving to a new home for years. I'm tired of the cold. Move to Madison.com makes the nice list.
Right now, during the Verlo mattress clearance sale, you can save even more with Verlo's already low consumer direct prices. Oh, you'll find phenomenal savings on floor models and discontinued mattresses. And all our mattresses are made locally, just for you,
30
and
seconds.
are backed
Thank
by our
you.
lifetime comfort guarantee.
To this day, when I hear that song, I see you standing there on that lawn, Discount shades, store-bought tan, flip-flops and cut-off jeans. Somewhere between that set and the sun, I'm on fire, I'm born to run. You looked at me and I was done, but we were just getting started. I was
Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. That's 1234. 34 happens to be the number worn by our next guest. He was a three-time Big Ten champion and captain of the Badger football team, wearing number 34 at fullback, and then went on to spend 3 years in the NFL with Atlanta and Jacksonville, respectively. Now back in the old hometown that we shared together, back in the old RC, not the OC, but the RC, Richland Center, Mr. Brady Ewing. Brady, happy holidays, Merry Christmas. How are you, my friend?
Thanks, Todd. Yeah, doing great. Thanks for having me today. I think this is your live show for the week, so thanks for sliding me in.
Well, it's a pleasure. No better way to get ready for the holidays to spend it with friends here. So this is fantastic. Now, give us a live report, Brady. You didn't know this. You're going to be a weather person too, but I'm looking here. The National Weather Service has put up a number of winter weather advisories, and it's kind of through the middle part of the state, just east of Eau Claire, down through La Crosse, and then on the southern end of this is Richland County, where you're at right now, over to Sauk County, Columbia County, and then kind of goes straight across over to Wisconsin Dells, Wisconsin Dells, and then our listeners at WISS in Oshkosh, and also in Green Bay, Wisconsin. So that middle swath of the state, looking for some possible freezing rain and snow. Looking at the weather radar right now, it would appear that most, not all, but most of the precipitation is in the form of snow, and the only real roads are the 511wi.gov national, or the Department of Transportation here in Wisconsin. The roads kind of around Nakusa and Wisconsin Rapids, some of those are now becoming partially covered. But Brady, give us an on-the-ground report there in the RC. How's it looking?
Yeah, no problem. I'm working from home today. I was looking out my window earlier. It was spitting snow and a little bit of rain, it looks like. Right now, nothing's coming down out of the sky.
All right.
But it has warmed up a little bit, at least from, a few days ago. I think it's above freezing now.
All right.
But
well,
I can work on my weather skills for next time. Just give me a little bit of heads up.
That's fine. That's fine. Yeah. Reporting from a tree stand next time, Brady Ewing.
Yeah, there you go. That'd be a win-win.
Right? Well, yeah, weather radar again shows light precipitation from Green Bay just over to Stevens Point, Wisconsin Rapids, back to Black River Falls, and then kind of scattered through the rest of southwest and south central Wisconsin. Right now, Milwaukee, Waukesha, Racine, Kenosha area, maybe just a few flakes or a little bit of drizzle, but nothing severe. No major roadways reported any accidents, but please, folks, drive safely as weather conditions can change quickly, because those roads are below freezing, so anything that hits them can change quickly. Where Brady and I are from out there in southwest Wisconsin, boy, Brady, you don't want to be going down Bunker Hill or anyone else on one of these big hills and hit some black ice. That ain't fun at all.
No, it's not. And I mean, even the road we live on, last week we got some of that ice, and it was just absolutely brutal. And it's kind of a mellow decline, but I was just scared to even go down it.
Right.
Potential of slipping. So yeah, you got to be careful. Get some salt and sand on that before you're out driving around.
Absolutely. All right, Brady, it's a big Monday night football. I got the Packer jersey on. We got the Packer helmet here. We're going to talk about that in a couple of minutes here. New Orleans Saints visiting the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau Field. Pregame show at 5 p.m. tonight or this afternoon, right there on WRCO Richland Center on the FM side. Also up in Park Falls on WCQM, WRJN, and Racine and Kenosha carrying the game on the Civic Media Network as well. But Brady, I want to begin going back to this weekend. Did you have a chance? Now you have a wife and 4 kids, and you're a busy guy. I'm just sitting around being a goofball. But did you have a chance to watch any of the college football playoffs this weekend?
We did, yeah. Actually, we just got we never had a TV in our living room. We got one here this weekend just in time for the college football playoffs. So when we were around the house, we had it on, and man, it was fun to see. It was cool to see, the expanded nature of the playoffs this year, and a couple Big Ten teams overall doing well. I think Indiana left a little bit to be desired, but their offense was struggling. But yeah, it was good to see Penn State and Ohio State win both convincingly. And yeah, just fun to see the competition. Even the FCS playoffs was.
Now,
Cool
I did not click over. It was what, South Dakota State and North Dakota State, something like that, or North
It
Dakota?
was, yeah, yep, and a bunch of Dakota schools in it. I think the last 4 teams had 3 of the Dakota schools in it. So yeah, that was even fun to watch. And
those are hardy guys out there. That that's where Packers got Kraft from. I mean, he was just out there playing in the Dakotas, and now he's great, doing great things with the Packers. Well, and for those folks that might not follow this like we do necessarily. So for many years, or for the last 10 years, you've had the college football playoff where there's a committee, much like you have in NCAA basketball for March Madness, that selects the Final Four, and then they go and play the Final Four. And there's a lot of grousing, and people said you have to expand that because too many good teams are getting left out. So they expanded it to 12 this year. And the way that the league champions from the Big Ten, the SEC, Big 12, who am I missing out? ACC, those all get in, and then a Power 5 school, and then the rest of them kind of get ranked or whatever. So what happened, it started out Friday night. Notre Dame wins 27-17 over Indiana. And as you said, Brady, Indiana went in there with 1 loss to Ohio State, but boy, they just looked outmatched and outgunned against Notre Dame.
they did, yeah. And I, to be honest with you, I hadn't watched Notre Dame much all season. Had watched a little bit of Indiana, but I feel like it was somewhat of an outlier, and Notre Dame's defense just took away any semblance of an offense that Indiana, was hopeful to have. But it was cool and kind of weird as a guy that played against Indiana back when they were, really struggling back when I was in college. And it was weird to see Indiana, and it has been all year, just on that stage being competitive. And just kind of odd. So good to see them there, but wasn't the best showing overall.
Well, let's go through these other games quickly just so people know. But so Penn State then had a 38-10 win over SMU. SMU this year in the ACC, they were expected to get in. They lost the conference championship to Clemson. That's the only reason that Clemson got in, because they won the ACC. And there was a lot of debate. Do you take an SMU team with the 1 loss like that, or do you put in Alabama, who had played a much tougher schedule but lost on the road to a bad Oklahoma team and also to Vanderbilt? The committee ended up taking SMU. Boy, again, SMU looked like they had no business being in this game.
Yeah, that was, I think, a miss by the committee. You look at Alabama's track record of playing in big games and the tough competition that they play week in and week out, and their conference. It would be hard to go against them. Although on the flip side, SMU didn't come out and compete, but I think that's why they expanded these playoffs, is to try to give teams like that an opportunity where they may be on the backside complaining or advocating on why they should have been in the playoffs. But I think this gives you some context on just the potential disparity in different conferences and things like that, schedules.
Shout out to my my buddy and new father, by the way, Alex Henvey, a graduate of SMU. And he got his MBA here at UW at Madison. He's a Badger, but he ran track for SMU. And his nickname, he was actually pretty good. And they called him White Lightning on the SMU track team, because he was like the only white dude on their 4x4 relay team. Did he run
the open 400 too, or just the 4x4?
I don't, not sure, but there was a picture of him running, so I know he actually did it in his SMU gear. But I mean, I'm sorry, Alex, but the Mustangs had no business being in that game, no business being in the playoffs. Number 5, Texas then pulled away from number 12, Clemson. Speaking of Clemson, 38-24, a game that looked like it might be something in the beginning, but then turned out to be nothing.
Yeah, I didn't catch that one as much, but you look at Clemson, much like Alabama's track record. It's like, man, they're a great program, but obviously, having a little bit of a dip this year.
Yeah. And then the game I was really hoping for, I thought, well, now the nightcap is, we're going to have something here. And it was number 8 Ohio State hosting number 9 Tennessee. And a lot of people salty because Ryan Day, the coach down there at Ohio State, has not yet beaten Michigan. They lost the quote-unquote the game once again to their arch rival Michigan. People online, all kinds of chatter that Ryan Day should be fired, even though he has like 9 losses total in his entire tenure in Ohio State. And a lot of Ohio State fans sold their tickets to Tennessee. Kurt Herbstreit on ESPN, who's a graduate from there, his son's still involved in the program, said he's never seen an opposition crowd like there was at Ohio Stadium, and Ohio State just came out and won 42-17.
Yeah, there's so much to dive into there. I mean, you look at, the expectations of a program like Ohio State for Coach Day. That is crazy, and that shows you how powerful that that rivalry is. To have 5 of his 9 losses in his time as a head coach to come from one team, their arch rival, and yet look at the overall success that program's had within that tenure as well. So it's just the dichotomy of seeing Michigan having Ohio State's number, and then for them to come out in the playoffs and crush a really good team in Tennessee. I think it just speaks to how good that program is consistently. And I saw a video I think when we were watching a little bit of that one, the Tennessee guys running around with their shirts off pregame, and makes me think of tonight a little bit, because I heard that the Saints quarterback or some of the Saints players were spending some time in one of the food service freezers or something to try to acclimate and get ready for the game this week or tonight. So just
gonna spend time in the freezer.
Supposedly, yeah. That's why I read a little article.
Oh my gosh!
This week I spent some time in the freezer, just going through the play script, just to acclimate to that. Supposedly it was 10 degrees, and tonight I don't think it'll be that cold.
No, I don't think so either. I want to come back and talk about that game with the Packers when we come back. But really quickly, Brady, before we leave, on college football, I mean, I don't want to keep beating a dead horse here, but boy, you look at the Badger transfer portal, and it is brutal. I mean, it is brutal right now for Wisconsin. With all, I mean, they basically have no quarterback. No, there is nobody left in the quarterback room that was on the team 3 weeks ago.
That's crazy. And you look at, how many, just all over from every team, let alone Wisconsin. I think that's, pretty telling, especially when you're getting a new offensive coordinator in. They are a big part of recruiting the quarterback based on what type of system they're going to run. So in today's day, overall, that's concerning to me, but in today's day and age, a little less so, just because of the turnover in the offensive coordinator. I know it doesn't build a ton of confidence, but
right.
I'm not as concerned about that as it, may look from an outsider's perspective, just because this new coordinator in today's day and age is probably already recruiting guys and already has 1 or 2 in mind that, fit his system and are loyal to him.
They brought in this kid, Danny O'Neill, 6 foot, 195 pounds, a 3-star prospect, who comes in from, I believe, San Diego State, the Aztecs, where he threw for 2,181 yards and 12 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. But again, that's not quite the competition of the current Big Ten. I get your point, Brady. You're right. I mean, this new coordinator's got to come in. He's got to have his new guys. But boy, I want, and believe me, I'm a person who wants Wisconsin to be successful. But now they're already grousing about interference from Miami on some kid that wanted to transfer down there. It just does not seem good right now.
No, it's not. And we've talked about it a lot. It's the way of college football right now. And honestly, part of the reason I enjoyed watching all the games, but some of those FCS games, it's definitely prevalent there, but just not as vocal as you would see in the FBS.
Yeah, absolutely. It is snowing right now in Madison, maybe snow tonight in Green Bay. The Packers and the Saints. Going to ask Brady Ewing, former NFL player, how much does weather really affect you when you're out there on the field? Come on back on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Oh, Springsteen.
Great conversation. 92.7 WMDX.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to slow it down and get it going slow. Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
For those watching the stream, this was obviously
Izervay or avastin
It
captain
was
Pagel is a
devastating.
prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Attention. If you suffer from consistent pain in your joints caused by arthritis, overuse, or injury,
Well, I got it
you may
plugged
be
back
a
in.
candidate
No, it's
for
not working.
revolutionary therapy
It's just
that
pointing
could
right at the ground.
revitalize
I
damaged
can
tissue.
fix it.
I can
This
see
approach
that.
Have you
can
got time to
provide
dial up
long-lasting
the Monday Night
relief from
Football
pain
thing?
in your knees, shoulders,
Sure. All
hips, and other joints with no surgery, no drugs, and no downtime. To find out if you're a viable candidate, you may request a free consultation from QC Kinetics by calling 608-384-0897. Instead of masking the symptoms, it goes to the root of the problem to resolve it at its source. Already used by thousands of satisfied patients nationwide, this joint pain therapy is available right now to the public, but only for qualified.
Welcome, everybody, to Lambeau Field in Green Bay, where tonight the Green Bay Packers take on the New Orleans Saints. See, I can't do what Joe Buck does. That's why I'm here. Welcome back to the show, 9 minutes before the hour of 2 o'clock. But that theme is iconic. Brady Ewing, three-time Big Ten champion with the Wisconsin Badgers, former captain, 3 Rose Bowls, and 3 years in the NFL with Atlanta and Jacksonville. That music, Brady, the music alone just gives you goosebumps.
It does, yeah. You hear that, and it takes me back to my youth and watching football growing up.
In your 3 years, did you ever play on a Monday night game?
Did not. Nope. I never was able to. I always think it's cool on the Sunday night, or maybe it's the Monday night games where they do the video player introductions at the beginning of the game. I always thought it would be neat to be on one of those and give a shout out to the alma mater.
Right.
Due to some of the injuries, never got the chance, but that was always kind of a bucket lister.
But so tonight, the New Orleans Saints go up to Green Bay, as you say, guys hanging out in freezers to prepare. It's not going to be that cold up there. But as a former player, whether it's in college or whether it's in the NFL, especially the NFL when you're a professional, does the weather really contribute that much to a performance? Does it get in guys' heads as much as we, the fans, like to think it might?
I would say the precipitation definitely can, and as I say that, it started spitting a little bit more here in Richmond Center. But I think the precipitation definitely can, just from a playing surface and dexterity of the ball. But as far as the temperature, I don't know, it's cold for sure. But when you get out there, you're warmed up. The only time it would really bother me is when you go inside for halftime and you come back out. You were sweaty going in, it's warm inside.
Right.
All of a sudden you come back out and you hit that cold atmosphere, and it's like, oh boy, I don't know if I necessarily want to hit somebody right now. You're trying to get warmed back up. But once you get going, the blood gets going, the adrenaline gets flowing. I'd say it's probably more mental than anything.
Yeah, absolutely. Who do you like in the game tonight, Brady?
I like the Packers. I think they're hitting their stride. They've had, had a good showing out of Seattle. Are putting some points up. I think if I understand it right, I think there's a few injuries on the Saints side that will definitely help the Packers and some of their defensive stuff. But I like the Packers. It's at home. It's Monday night. I think they get a playoff berth if they get the dub tonight. So I think guys will be motivated and ready to go out and compete. How about you?
Yeah, I like the Packers tonight. I mean, we were in Seattle last week, and boy, I mean, did you ever play out there in Seattle?
No, I never got a chance to even be at that stadium.
It's amazing. If you ever get a chance, especially as a former player, I think you'd find it really the loudness, the volume. And what was really cool is even in the first quarter, there were so many Packer fans there that you could hear the "Go Pack Go" chants over the Seattle Seahawks fans. So that was a lot of fun. But I thought,
it's amazing.
Yeah, it really is. And I thought the Packers looked much sharper last week in Seattle. I like them tonight, especially at home, especially weather, whatever. But to your point, Brady, they can solidify a playoff spot right now. Right now in the NFC, the Lions, the Eagles, and the Vikings are in at the 1, 2, and 5 spot, respectively. Right now, the Packers are sitting at the 6th. Just below the Rams, the Falcons, and then behind them, the Washington Commanders. So I like them tonight. And again, you just get I don't know, maybe it's just me, take your take on this as a professional, but you have the feeling that the Packers are really starting to get into a rhythm here, both psychologically and they're getting a little healthier and seem to be finding a groove, particularly Jordan Love.
Yeah, it matters. I mean, it's such a long season, and they've extended it. So I think you don't need to be the best team in the league at the beginning of the season, but if you can take your bumps and continue to learn and continue to give guys that might be younger some experience and just have the team come together and gel as a group, I think as cliche as it is, like that's a big deal. And I feel like the Packers, from what I've seen, continue to, take a challenge and continue to evolve and continue to grow, but then are putting points up. And in the NFL, especially, that's so huge, to put points up because, both teams generally are going to score, but to put up points in the 30s, high 20s is a big deal. And I feel like the Packers are starting to peak at the right time, much like they did last year.
Yeah.
I feel like they started to come on towards the end of the year.
Absolutely. We're going to have our sports reporter, Mike Clemens, coming up at the bottom of next hour, just after 1:30. He'll be reporting live from Green Bay, give us the latest who's in, who's out tonight for both the Packers and the Saints. He'll talk a little bit about this. Have you heard about this, Brady? Toyotathon connected. So Toyotathon runs from November 15th to January 6th. And for the last couple of years, Jordan Love has thrown just one interception during Toyotathon. And so they're saying that Jordan Love is a Toyotathon quarterback.
All right. Well, we'll take it. Whatever
it is.
To do. Yeah, get it done.
Absolutely. Brady, you've discussed this program before. You have 4 wonderful boys, you and your lovely wife. It's an exciting time of year, it has to be, for the kids in the Ewing household around the holidays.
Oh yeah, they're excited. We had a big day yesterday. Went down to church in Madison, and my parents came with us and went out and saw the Mufasa movie and did a little shopping. Went and saw some Christmas lights on Colony Drive over on the west side of Madison. And yeah, they're just excited. I think for us, I think they understand the reason for the season, but they do love, gifts and, it brings time with family and just reflecting on the year past and the year to come. So trying to enjoy it, but also, just remember, what Christmas is all about.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate your friendship, Brady. Appreciate you being here. Here's Andrew in Maine saying, has Brady or Brandon applied to the open offensive coordinator position with the Badgers? There you go. There's a vote for the Ewing Pros to help out the Badgers. How about that?
Oh, thank you.
Hey, there you go. Thanks, Brady. Merry Christmas to you and the family. Talk to you later.
News and great conversation. 92.7 WMDX.
Jane Matnair and Greg Bach.
Coming up on the show, it's Christmas Eve. We will have our Christmas cookie exchange at 11:33. The pressure is on. And we'll wrap it up with another holiday edition of This Shouldn't Be a Thing. I hope you'll join us.
Matnair on air. Weekday mornings at 11.
Hi, this is Gordy Young from the John and Gordy Morning Show. Dane County Humane Society believes that pets make wonderful gifts for those that are ready to welcome a new family member. Before gifting a pet, Dane County Humane Society suggests having a conversation with a recipient. They might prefer the joy of personally finding their new best friend. You can ask to be a part of the process or offer toys, treats, and other supplies the pet will need. Learn more at giveshelter.org.
Enjoying this local program? Find the complete Civic Media lineup at civicmedia.us or the Civic Media app. This is 92.7 WMDX Columbus, Madison's home for real news and great conversation. A Civic Media station.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. The holiday travel getaway now in full swing. A record number of Americans taking to the skies and roads this holiday period. ABC's Sam Sweeney on what to expect.
If you're going to be out on the roads, it's going to be a much different story. 90% of people who are traveling for this holiday will be driving. If you can leave early in the morning, you should do so. Of course, at the airports as well, it's going to be busy in the morning, busy in the evenings, but just pack a little, use a little extra time if you are heading out there.
President Biden has commuted the sentences of 37 federal death row inmates, now sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. It does not include the Boston bomber or two mass shooters. They remain on death row. The Kaleo volcano started to erupt early this morning in Hawaii Volcanoes National Park. So powerful, it's also triggered earthquake activity. The lava exploding and flowing, shooting into the air with officials issuing an aviation code red. This is ABC.
This is your local Civic Media radio station. Want to hear even more? Anytime? Find all of it at civicmedia.us.
For 92.7 WMDX News, I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. Today is the funeral for the teacher who was shot and killed a week ago at Abundant Life Christian School. Erin West was 42. Friends say she dedicated her life to serving others and to her faith, and that made her a perfect fit at Abundant Life. Meanwhile, 14-year-old Ruby Vergara was laid to rest over the weekend. Loved ones remembered her for her musical talents, which she loved to share, and her special bond with her animals. And a scare in Belleville, a 12-year-old student may face charges after allegedly plotting to harm themselves and school staff.
What do we got now?
Fellow students reported it a week ago and told officials
much
what
better.
the
Look at
child
that.
was saying.
Look at that. We actually
The
have
12-year-old
it
was referred to Dane County Juvenile Court on charges of
Not just
disorderly
the
conduct
ground.
and making
Right.
terroristic threats. That student was not
we'll
taken into
take a look at that
custody,
in a
but
minute.
they're no longer allowed on school grounds, and there are still more discipline decisions in the works. Belleville police thanked other students for taking it seriously and coming forward. If you're looking for ways to give, the fundraiser for the Abundant Life Christian School community is now near $70,000. Almost 700 people have donated. You can find a link to it on our website, WMDXradio.com. There are lots of ways you can give back, and it doesn't just have to be monetarily. Tomorrow is the big blood drive at the Alliant Energy Center. We can all get so busy this time of year, it's easy to get overwhelmed. But the spirit of giving is what the holidays are all about. Rebecca Rockhill from the Red Cross.
We see people getting into the celebrations and the gatherings of the holidays. People tend to schedule less or cancel more for their blood donations. They're thinking more about other things. And so it's really important that we continue to donate.
The Christmas Eve blood drive is tomorrow at the Alliant Energy Center. It runs from 7 in the morning to 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I checked, there are still tons of times available. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. You're listening to 92.7 WMDX News.
The Badgers win at home. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. College basketball, Wisconsin with a 76-53 victory over the Detroit Mercy Titans at the Kohl Center. A good performance from Stephen Crowell and Nolan Winter, who had a double-double. Head coach Greg Gard.
I thought the two bigs, Crowell and Winter, were good, were efficient. Obviously, the numbers bear that out. Defensively, did a lot of good things to keep the ball out of the paint.
NBA, the Bucks in Chicago tonight against the Bulls. NFL, Saints head coach Darren Rizzi says, although Alvin Kamara is out for tonight's game, he'll rely on his other running backs, including former Packer Jamal Williams.
You know, Kendrick can kind of pick up where he's left off the last couple of weeks. Jamal Williams has had many, many games in that division, in that stadium, and he's had some really good ones. Obviously played for them and played in
Mike Clemens sent me an open. It's like 30-second clip and then some music. So we'll use that, just so you know.
Not taking them lightly.
This is the National Football League. You better get yourself ready to go, otherwise you're going to get your ass kicked.
With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
Local radio for you and your community. It's Civic Media's mission with stations across Wisconsin. Find your favorites at civicmedia.us.
Be careful driving out there. Some slick and slippery, icy spots are possible as a chance of freezing drizzle, snow, and regular rain rolls in. High temperatures today will reach the mid-30s and slide to the upper 20s tonight. And as we wake up tomorrow morning, patchy fog is possible. I'm meteorologist Brittany Merlot. Right now, it's 35.
Celebrate New Year's Eve in the heart of downtown at the Madison Concourse Hotel and Governor's Club. Usher in 2025 by chilling to live jazz, feasting on a surf and turf dinner, laughing your way through live comedy, and party hopping between disco with VO5, classic country with Frank Martin Bush and the Names, and a DJ dance party. When the night is over, your guest room is a safe, warm elevator ride away, and you can start your year off right with our outstanding New Year's ballroom brunch. Find your perfect package at concoursehotel.com.
Ever tried balancing a dozen eggs in one hand while hopping on one foot?
Nope.
Or maybe juggling cats while riding the unicycle?
I am allergic.
Sounds ridiculous, right? But guess what? That's exactly what texting while driving is like. Your human brain only has the capacity to focus on one thing at a time. So when you're behind the wheel,
Live from the Civic Media World Headquarters in Madison, Wisconsin, it's the Todd Allbaugh Show. And now, pursuing truth wherever it may lead, here's your host, Todd Allbaugh.
Across Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network and streaming worldwide on the Civic Media app. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Todd Allbaugh, along with our outstanding producer, Mr. Aaron Zommers, on the board. It is 6 minutes past the hour of 1 o'clock. Welcome into hour number 2 of the big program on this Monday, December 23rd, 2024. It is a great day to be a Wisconsinite. Welcome in, as we say, Brady Ewing. Many thanks to him for being with us in hour number 1. Who's better than Brady Ewing? I mean, just the guy's fantastic. You can talk about anything to him, including weather, as it turns out.
Maybe if he has more heads up, that's
right.
better,
but he did a
still,
fine job. He gave us on-the-ground reporting. The snow is spitting there in Richland Center. More on the weather, by the way, in a second. Coming up at the bottom of this hour, more on the Packer game tonight with our outstanding reporter, sports reporter, Mike Clemens. Going to be coming to us live from Green Bay, Wisconsin. He'll tell us the latest, who's in for tonight's game for the Packers and New Orleans, and who is out. Remember, that game begins with a pregame show at 5 p.m. right here on select stations of the Civic Media Radio Network. And as Letterman likes to say, hopefully one of your stations has been selected. It has been. If you're going to be, I'm hoping to be in Richland Center tonight. We'll see how the weather holds. But if I am, I'll be listening at the old home station, 100.9 FM, WRCO in Richland Center. Also on WCQM, 98.3 in Park Falls, and WRJN, 99.9 FM, 1400 AM in Racine, and 98.1 FM in Kenosha. All those stations will be carrying the Packers-Saints game tonight. Friendly reminder, the NFL, Paul Tagliabue, says we cannot stream the games. Remember Paul Tagliabue?
Paul Tagliabue, who?
Former commissioner of the NFL. Anyway, that shows you my age. Anyway, Mike Clemens will be here at the bottom of the hour to give us the latest on the Packers. Maybe ask him a little bit about that Bucks-Bulls game tonight, get his feelings on the college football playoffs, and just an all-around great guy. I'm sure he'll maybe talk about what's he doing. What does Mike Clemens do for the holidays? Cover sports, as it turns out.
Inquiring minds want to know.
Yes, we'll talk with Mike Clemens at the bottom of the hour. And we also have a What's Worse coming up this half hour, as well as some positive news. How about that? 3 soldiers pulled an ice fisherman from the Wisconsin River last week in a story that did not get nearly as much attention as I think it so richly deserves. Why is it that the good things always get passed over for the more salacious bad things? Well, we both know the answer to that.
It's because they get more clicks.
Exactly.
The dollar sign.
But exactly. But we'll give our great soldiers, our people in uniform, a shout out here in this half hour as well. We talked about the weather. In all seriousness, there are winter weather advisories and warnings. Advisories is more accurately to say, across the middle section of Wisconsin. And really, if you would go, say, just east of Eau Claire and then down to La Crosse, Richland Center, the Dells, Sauk County, and then just south of Wausau, and then make a straight line on the north and south of that, going over to Green Bay, Wisconsin Rapids, Green Bay, and also Oshkosh. Those are the counties, the general midsection of the state that's under these watches and warnings right now. According to the National Weather Service, this is in effect until 4 o'clock this afternoon. Some snow expected, some accumulations of 1 to 2 inches, and it's in Jackson, La Crosse, Monroe, Juneau, Adams, Vernon, and Richland counties for this particular section. But again, it goes all the way over into the Green Bay area as well. Plan on slippery road conditions in parts of the state. A band of moderate snow is expected across the southern Fox Valley to Chilton, to Manitowoc, Mr. Zommers, during the mid to late afternoon. Additional snow accumulations in that area of 1 to 3 inches, with the highest amounts coming in Winnebago, Calumet, and Manitowoc counties. Are you going home tonight?
I was planning on going home in the morning, but...
Well, you should be fine in the morning.
Yeah.
They'll have it all. It's Wisconsin. A couple of inches. I think the real concern here was that some of this precipitation might be coming in as freezing rain, because we're right on that kind of snow freezing rain line right now. And so that's the biggest concern. So
that stuff's gross.
I know. So just allow some extra time wherever you need to go right now across the state of Wisconsin, and our great weather team will keep you up to date on that. Speaking of what road conditions, 411wi.gov, and anybody can access this, by the way, for free. Just go to your computer. It also has an app, like there's an app for everything. 511wi.gov. Gives you the road conditions, the radars, and whatnot. So right now, it looks like the majority of snow-covered roads or partially covered roads, kind of around the Stevens Point area, Wisconsin Rapids, Nakusa. So our listeners up at WFHR up there, Wisconsin Rapids, Marshfield area, going over to Neelsville, and then down to the Mauston, Wisconsin Dells area. That kind of really central part has picked up the most and heaviest amounts of precipitation in the form of snow. So just be aware of that those roadways are snow covered. Here's a look at, we're looking right now at the I-90-94 ramp near Wisconsin Road 33. Looks like much of the interstate there is at least partially covered, and there is a crash right now on that part of the interstate. So that's just south of Wisconsin Dells. So allow some extra time wherever you need to get to go today. It's the holidays. Want to get you there safely. It's 12 minutes now past the hour of 1 o'clock. Time once again for What's Worse. Let's go.
This or that. Then, of course, the choice is yours. You can get with this or you can get with that. You can get with this or you can get with that.
Time once again for What's Worse. Unlike the Civic Media Growing Up Gift List Text to Win contest, there are no actual prizes in this one. But who needs a prize when you get the opportunity to have your voice heard across the statewide radio network of Civic Media and around the world on the Civic Media app? How about that, Mr. Summers? And by the way, if you weren't with us in hour number 1, we eked out a win somehow. I still don't know exactly how. We eked out a win over our wonderful and talented colleagues, Jane Matnair and Greg Bach of Matnair on Air. And we, as my grandpa would say, merrily won. He would say, instead of barely, he'd say merrily. And my grandmother, who is an educator, would say, Warren, honestly, there's no word merrily. My grandpa would say, well, I say there is.
That's a very grandpa thing to do.
Mm-hmm. So here now, thanks to our colleague Luke Mathers, we have, just in case you wanted to know, the Grown Up Gift List Text to Win Grand Prize winners. Congratulations to Civic Media's Grand Prize winners. And here they are. Chris, listening on WCQM up in Park Falls. Angie, listens in on WMDX. Wonder if that's Angie from Monroe. Could be. Michelle, listening on WFHR in Wisconsin Rapids. Rosemary, who listens on WCFW, The Tap, up in Eau Claire, Evelyn tuning in to WMDX here in Madison, Ann listening on WAUK in Waukesha, and Dan, who listened to the stream on WLCX in La Crosse. So look at that, all over the state.
Although we are waiting for one more. There will be another name added to the list.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for pointing that out. Yes, there's one more person that apparently we're trying to get a hold of whatnot. So
just for those of you sharp-eared listeners who heard that and was like, that was only 7.
Thank you. Thank you, Summers. So there you go. So again, people actually win these things. And again, congratulations to all of our great winners of the Growing Up Gift List Text to Win contest, and all the $100 winners of each hour. And then all of the overnight getaway winners to the Chula Vista Resort in Wisconsin Dells. Many thanks to Chula Vista for helping us out on that. And all of our great sponsors, and of course, all of you for listening. Be listening, as we'll have another great Text to Win contest soon and more chances to win. But right now, time for What's Worse. Very timely, as always. What's worse, Sunday nights or Monday mornings? What's worse, Sunday nights or Monday mornings? 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. Kind of depends on my week sometimes. But what's worse, Sunday nights or Monday mornings? And this, I guess, could be in any context. They don't give us the context, the old home office people.
Well, I imagine it's generally, is it having to wrap up your plans and go to bed Sunday night knowing you have to get up in the morning, or actually the act of getting up in the morning?
Correct.
For people who work a normal, 5 days a week, Monday to Friday job.
A standard job, yeah. I mean, any job is normal, but I mean, I knew what you were saying.
Typical.
Yeah, that's good. Tom, listening in Jackson, WCXO, up there, beautiful Wausau area. He says Monday mornings are worse. And again, I think it might depend on if you're a parent, right? Is it worse all, getting the lunches ready, making sure the kids got the homework done, the laundry is done, the kids have stuff to wear in the morning, is it worse getting all that laid out on Sunday night, or is it the actual act of having to make sure your children are up in the morning and to school and just getting back to the routine? What's worse, Sunday nights or Monday mornings? 855-752-4842. Let us know what your thoughts are. 855-752-4842. You can also text us on the Civic Media app. You can download it, as most of you know, by simply going to your app store, your Apple or Android device, typing in Civic, CIVIC, comes up, Civic Media. Takes less than a minute to download. It is free. Yes, that's what Gail King, who turned 70 this week.
Wow.
70, Gail King. She calls it a deal. At least she says that of the CBS app. And I'm confident if I ever meet her, she'll say that of the Civic Media app as well. What's worse, Sunday nights or Monday mornings? 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842, or text it in on the Civic Media app. I think Monday mornings are worse.
I think I probably agree with that. Although the one thing about Sunday evenings that I have to say is sometimes for me, knowing that I'm going to have to do something, I don't do anything between now and then. So it'll be like, oh, I got to get all this stuff ready in a few hours. I only have a few hours. That's not enough time to do anything. Yes, it is.
But it's psychological.
Yeah, it's psychological.
Dana, listening in La Crosse, says, I like seeing my house is clean on Sundays and relaxing before bed. There is no redeeming value to Mondays. Garfield the cat fan.
I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah. Joshua, listening in Wausau on WXCO, says, Monday morning, 3:45 a.m. when my first alarm goes off. Holy macaroni. You're an early riser, Josh. God love you. Come on back. More of What's Worse and other things on the Civic Media Radio Network.
This is Madison's Real News and Great Conversation, 92.7 WMDX.
Attention. If you suffer from consistent pain in your joints caused by arthritis, overuse, or injury, you may be a candidate for a revolutionary therapy that could revitalize damaged tissue. This approach can provide long-lasting relief from pain in your knees, shoulders, hips, and other joints with no surgery, no drugs, and no downtime. To find out if you're a viable candidate, you may request a free consultation from QC Kinetics by calling 608-384-0897. Instead of masking the symptoms, it goes to the root of the problem to resolve it at its source.
Did you know the judge overseeing pretrial hearings for Luigi is married to a former Pfizer executive and holds hundreds of thousands of dollars in stock, including in healthcare companies? Seems like a conflict of interest, perhaps.
608-384-0897. That's 608-384-0897.
I'm Dan Schaefer. Let's recombobulate. Big news in Wisconsin this month, as much of the controversial anti-union Act 10 law was struck.
Very nice, Andrew.
Two takeaways on this. One, the ruling gets at the heart of what has always made this law so brazenly political.
I'm glad this is running because I'm not sure if anybody's heard about Act 10 yet.
Yeah, it's we got to make sure the people know.
Based on across-the-board policy, but on which unions backed Scott Walker for governor in 2010. It would be
Beating a dead horse.
For this controversial law. Secondly, this case is headed to an appeal, which almost certainly will end up at the Wisconsin Supreme Court. While this case still might be decided.
20 seconds.
How about a little Let It Snow? Coming back. Do we have time? No, that's fine.
No, we have like 10 seconds.
All I want for Christmas is a real good tan. Take me to the islands, put my feet in the sand. Rocking to and fro with the rhythm of the ocean. Singing Silent Night with the palm trees a-blowing. Ooh,
welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. Nicely done, Mr. Zommers. Digging deep from the Kenny Chesney Christmas album. A hitherto unknown. I have it, but not many people do. That's a great. All I want for Christmas is a real good tan.
It's a good one.
It is a very good one. Look, I don't mind snow, particularly around during the Christmas season, unless we're traveling. But I have spent a couple of Christmas. Ever spend a Christmas in a warm climate like that, Summers?
I have not.
It's the first one was down in El Salvador during college. It feels odd at first, and then, but I've also spent one in Florida on the Gulf of Mexico. It's not bad. Let me tell you, it's not bad at all. I think the older you get, like when you're a kid, you want the sledding and all that and whatever. And like I said, I'm not complaining. I like this. But there is something to be said for palm trees and lights and whatever. So a shout out to Kurt and Florsey, who are enjoying a real good tan right now, by the way, in Central America. It is 22 minutes past the hour of 1 o'clock after the bottom of the hour break. Our friend and colleague sports reporter Mike Clemens in, giving us the latest on tonight's Monday Night Football game, the Packers taking on the New Orleans Saints. And talk a few other things with Mike Clemens. Just a great guy, somebody you always want to talk to. Right now, we're smack dab in the middle of what's worse, Sunday nights or Monday mornings. 855-752-4842. If you'd like to weigh in, 855-752-4842. What's worse, Sunday nights or Monday mornings? Also off the text line, Andrew in Maine says, being currently unemployed, the days are all the same. Look, I've been there, Andrew. However, Monday mornings, starting at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, does often bring me a fresh episode of Matt Nair on Air on the Civic Media Radio Network free app, which makes it better than Sunday night. So look at that. Look at that. See, Jane just making, and I think that's a great point. And that's what, when people sometimes ask me, well, what do you like about being on the radio or whatever? It's that. It's the listener feedback and knowing. I tweeted something out this weekend. I'm a big fan of Sunday Morning on CBS, and on their Twitter feed, they had one of their longtime hosts, Charles Osgood, who is now deceased. They called him the anchor emeritus, Charles Osgood. And every year he was also a pianist, and he would sing. And so 2 or 3 years ago, before he passed away, he and current host Jane Pauley sang "Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas," and it was just very, very touching. And I tweeted out that I think that to me, which it goes unnoticed, unappreciated, and maybe even unconscious by a lot of us. But whether you're alone, whatever the circumstances are, we kind of develop, I do at least, as a person who enjoys media, these kind of like friendships or companionships with people in media that we might never even meet, but they keep us company. And I think that's a great point by Andrew right there. How can you go wrong by listening to Jane every morning at 10 o'clock? I mean, it makes you feel better, right?
The only way I can think of that you could go wrong is if you're listening to it instead of doing something else you need to do, and then you get fired or get in a car accident or something like that. So I was trying to think of a way.
Throw a cold blanket on the love, Zommers. Thanks.
So there is no reasonable way you can go wrong.
Well, I got fired because I was listening to Matt and Aaron on air instead of nobody. Come on.
No, I know. You can't go wrong.
You cannot go wrong. Just like Andrew. It makes your day starting off in Jane. Matt and Richland Center depends on if a Game of Thrones franchise is in season. Oh, well, there you go. See, Matt, one of our great UPS drivers in Richland Center, because Game of Thrones used to come out on Monday or Sunday nights, right?
I'm not sure.
I think so. Also, Tyler, listening up in Wisconsin Rapids to be FHR. Be careful up there, Tyler. Roads, now looking at the 511.gov, most of the roads around Rapids and Nakusa are now partially covered with snow, saying Sunday nights languishing on Monday morning. There you go. So what's worse, Sunday nights or Monday mornings? 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. Want to bring you this story quickly because this is a good one. And this comes to us from WAOW, great station up there in the Eau Claire area. 3 Army soldiers helped pull an ice fisherman from the Wisconsin River last week. A release from the U.S. Army Public Affairs said the 3 were ice fishing when they saw another fisherman fall through the ice. They crawled over to the man, tied their jackets together, and helped pull the man out of the ice. The 3 men were able to contact emergency services after they helped him from the ice. The soldiers that rescued the local fisherman were Sergeant First Class Timothy Deeren, Staff Sergeant Matthew Jones, and Staff Sergeant Stephen Vest. Captain Matthew Olson, commander of the Fort McCoy Recruiting Company, stated, quote, "I'm beyond proud of the Wausau Army team. Their display of courage and selfless service is a tribute to their Army values and training and reflects the quality of soldiers we work with every day. The soldiers are currently stationed in Wausau as Army recruiters tasked with providing full and part-time career opportunities to young adults in central Wisconsin." Again, many thanks to Sergeant First Class Timothy Deeren, Staff Sergeant Matthew Jones, and Staff Sergeant Stephen Vest, all of the Wausau area. Again, putting their Army training and just their character on, putting their lives on the line and rescuing this guy that fell in the Wisconsin River, ice fishing. It's a good reminder, by the way. I mean, I saw people on Lake Monona today, or one of the bays, already on the ice. Come on, people. We don't have enough ice for that yet.
There's a time and place,
yeah,
and it's not yet.
Just please stay, because otherwise you got other people risking their lives to save you. But again, many thanks to the great folks here in the Wausau area, those soldiers of the United States Army and Army Reserve for getting it done. We need to talk more about people like that in the year ahead. People who just contribute selflessly and help others. Again, a quick weather update for you before we go to the commercial break. Many of our counties in central Wisconsin are under winter weather advisory. Expect 1 to 3 inches of snow. Looks like over towards Lake Michigan, over the Manitowoc area, the hometown of Mr. Zommers, and that area might pick up 3 to 4 inches or more due to the lake effect. Roadways right now say in the Stevens Point area up to Stratford, Moseley, down to Wisconsin Rapids, the Coosa, and around Mauston to Wisconsin Dells. That kind of central part is where the most snow is accumulating on the roadways. But just allow some extra time today as you go throughout your day. Come on back, talk more about Monday Night Football, the Packers and the Saints. A pregame show at 5 o'clock on select Civic Media radio stations. Mike Clemens, our sports reporter, here live from Green Bay to talk about it. Stay tuned.
And great conversation. 92.7 WMDX. Your news, conversations, and a whole lot of fun. It's all on your local Civic Media radio station or the Civic Media app.
For 92.7 WMDX News, I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. Gas prices are holding relatively steady for the holiday. That's good news for the 2.1 million Wisconsinites driving somewhere this week. Here's Melissa Kay.
Gas prices increased last week, rising 3.7 cents for an average across the state of $2.81 per gallon. Despite the expected increase, prices in Wisconsin are still 5 cents per gallon lower than a month ago, but over 7 cents higher than this time last year. Officials at Gas Buddy say prices may hold near recent levels this week. However, in our area, stations will likely be rolling back prices after the recent hikes in competition with nearby gas stations. It will pay to check prices before you fill up. You may be able to save as much as 25 to 50 cents per gallon depending on where you fill your tank.
And a reminder that if your normal trash day is Tuesday or Wednesday, there are some changes this week. Within Madison city limits, if you usually put out your garbage and recycling on Tuesday, today is garbage day for you. If it normally gets picked up on Wednesday, yours will get picked up on Thursday. Now, that's just for the city of Madison, but lots of other municipalities will be on similar schedules. And if you need a last-minute gift for someone in your life, we've got an idea that you can pay for online right now and your loved one could use all year long. It's a pass to our Wisconsin state parks. Logan Rogie from Travel Wisconsin.
You're going to provide them with 12 months of access to all the state parks and state forests. And next year actually marks the 125th anniversary of the state park system too. So visitors, they can expect a wide array of events at all the state parks that are celebrating this important milestone, really making that vehicle admission sticker an even greater gift.
For Wisconsin residents, a year-round state park pass is $28. That fee is even lower for seniors. Lucky for you, no traffic and no long lines. You can buy state park passes on the DNR's website. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. You're listening to 92.7 WMDX News.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. HBO is making a preemptive renewal for Dune Prophecy. The network announced ahead of last weekend's season 1 finale that there will be a season 2. The show that stars Olivia Williams and Emily Watson is a prequel based on the novel called Sisterhood of Dune. All 6 episodes of the season can be viewed on Max. The Brutalist is currently playing in theaters and has received incredible reviews. The film stars Adrian Brody, who threw himself into the role, saying it was very fulfilling to work himself into exhaustion. The way Brody described the casting process sounded exhausting too, as he was cast, then replaced, then ultimately found his way back into the lead role of a Jewish architect relocating to America after the Holocaust. Brody and the film are receiving great reviews and serious Oscar buzz. If you plan to check it out, though, pack a lunch, as the film is a healthy 3.5 hours long. For more showbiz fun, tune into Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
You can always continue the conversation on social media. Share your thoughts when you find and follow Civic Media on Facebook, X, and Instagram.
Be careful driving out there. Some slick and slippery, icy spots are possible as a chance of freezing drizzle, snow, and regular rain rolls in. High temperatures today will reach the mid-30s and slide to the upper 20s tonight. And as we wake up tomorrow morning, patchy fog is possible. I'm meteorologist Brittany Merlot. Right now, it's 35.
Hi, this is Catherine Lake with 92.7 WMDX, and I just want to remind you that the warm feeling you're experiencing isn't just the Christmas spirit. It could be menopause, or you left the oven on. Be careful out there, and happy holidays.
as a network, we're called Civic Media because a big part of it is we want to start modeling how civic discourse really should happen and being respectful of each other's opinions, even if you disagree. Like they should be given a platform.
What was the joke one that you mentioned?
Right.
A while ago?
Exactly.
Right, Rocker?
Yeah, that's right, Jimmy.
Well, you do have a wall.
Well, I guess we should have done it.
So it's like
It's only glass. Tear down the walls. Listen to Max Inc. Saturday night, 6 to midnight, across the Civic Media Radio Network.
Out here in the middle of these acres, it can feel like you're the only person on Earth.
30
That's how it
seconds.
feels when you're struggling with your mental health. But you don't have to feel alone. Find more information at loveyourmindtoday.org.
Since Darren Rizzi took over, I think Cam Jordan's back to getting more snaps and therefore more production, more quarterback pressures. Do you see little things like that have happened?
Yeah, the Saints have done an outstanding job. Teams are having a hard time moving the ball and having a hard time scoring points. And a lot of these games have been close. I mean, they've lost 4 games by 3 points or less. So you're talking about, that's a very minimal difference. And they could easily be sitting at 9-5 right now. So this is the National Football League. You better get yourself ready to go, otherwise you're going to get your ass kicked.
Coach Matt LaFleur on the Green Bay Packers not taking anything for granted, having his Packers ready to go tonight when they take on the New Orleans Saints on Monday Night Football. You can hear it right here on select stations of the Civic Media Radio Network. Broadcast starts at 5 p.m., and then Wayne Larrabee and The Rock take over to give us the call on WRCL Richland Center, WCQM in Park Falls, and WRJN in Racine, Kenosha. One programming note. Remember, the NFL does not take kindly to us broadcasting on the Civic Media app, so we're refraining from doing that to keep everything kosher. But here, once again, to tell us all the latest news, live, joining us from Green Bay, Wisconsin, right around that Lambeau Field area, our absolutely fantastic sports reporter and colleague, Mike Clemens. Mike, thanks so much for taking the time. Happy holidays and happy Monday Night Football.
Happy holidays to you, Todd, and then everybody else there back at the main space there in Madison.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a fun time of year, a busy time of year for people both in sports playing it and also for those covering it, yourself included. But you're in Green Bay. Mike, talk to us a little bit about what LaFleur said right there. I think on paper, a lot of us fans look at this game and say, well, this should be a shoo-in. I mean, New Orleans, the record isn't that great. It's cold weather. They're from the South. But we heard from Brady Ewing in the first half hour, former Badger and NFL player, that he said some of maybe the precipitation a little bit. If you get a really wet game, you don't want to go out there and start hitting guys right away in the second half. But really, he said, in his 3 years in the league, the cold you're more concerned about the plays and that type of thing. But how do you see this matching up tonight?
Well, first of all, weather-wise, it's snowing right now in Green Bay, but I think it's going to stop by about the time of the kick. I think fans probably should plan on a mostly cloudy night and temperatures around 26 degrees for the game. The Saints, Darren Rizzi is the interim head coach. He's a special teams coordinator who actually Matt LaFleur went after a few years ago, but the Saints were willing to pay top dollar, and now he has an opportunity to try and hang on as the head coach. Dennis Allen, a defensive coordinator who served under Sean Payton all those years. Sometimes you find out these guys are meant to be coordinators and not head coaches, and he kind of lost the team. They started out 2-7. They've had some bad injuries, but they've won a lot of close games, or they've been in a lot of close games. They're 5-9 coming to this. Yesterday, you saw the brilliant job that the Washington Commanders did to upset the Philadelphia Eagles. Jaden Daniels with 5 touchdowns. These Saints almost beat them a week ago. Almost beat them.
Wow.
As a matter of fact, Rizzi, with all the injuries he's had on offense, thought, we brought in this rookie, Spencer Rattler. He lit this, the offense up in the second half, moved the ball, and it's like, let's just go for it. Let's see if we can get the 2-point conversion and go for the win. Well, they came up short, so they lost 20-19. But they sacked Jaden Daniels 8 times on that defense. They have beefed up the defense since Rizzi has taken over. He's got these guys playing for him.
And isn't that a key, Mike, in your years of covering the NFL and sports in general? If you get players that really buy into a particular coach and make this about, I mean, look, they know they're not going to the playoffs, so they're not playing for postseason, but they're playing for each other, and maybe they're playing for their coach.
They're playing for their jobs too.
Yeah.
Cam Jordan, though, he's 35 years old. He's been an All-Pro, Pro Bowl defensive end. And when Dennis Allen left, he was like playing the younger guys. And, Cam probably felt like he was being phased out. Rizzi went to the team and said, what do you guys want? And he said, play me, man, play me. And all of a sudden now Cam Jordan has become a factor. He's got 15 quarterback pressures, some sacks. He's a factor back in these games. And I talked to Luke Butkus, the Packers offensive coach, offensive line coach, and Adam Stanovich about that. And they said, oh, no, they've been rejuvenized on that defensive line. They've got some good guys back there. They got the Honey Badger on the back end. So, they're going to be a tough team up front. And so I would think that LaFleur is probably going to respond the way he did last week against the Seahawks and get the run game going with Josh Jacobs. Now, you're getting to the point where Josh Jacobs is down his 6th year in the NFL. He's had almost as many carries as Derrick Henry or some of the other, most used running backs in the league. And he finished in his time with the Raiders last year with a bad thigh bruise. It was so bad they had to take him into a specialist, a guy who normally sees people that come out of car wrecks.
Wow.
Like when the steering wheel goes in the thigh.
Wow.
He had calcium deposits in the thigh last spring, and Goody still signed him thinking that he was going to get through this, and which he did. And look how tremendous he's been. So Josh Jacobs says, I feel fine, even though all these carries that I had and the punishment that he's been taking, especially against the Seahawks, he surprisingly feels good. You talk to his running back coach, Ben Simmons, it's all in the way you fall and the way you handle some of these carries. So they love him. They love it with the fight that he's got in him, and he loves to get in there early in the game and hit defenders back and make them psychologically think this guy's going to be like a bull all night. He likes direct contact,
right.
And so I would think that that's something they're going to use tonight to get the game started.
Let's go back for a second. You mentioned this game last week in Seattle. I was out there last week, and first of all, what an incredible stadium! The loudness, the intensity, and I know Aaron Rodgers commented about this on Pat McAfee this week, saying that he was watching the game on the plane back from his game, and the first quarter he could hear the "Go Pack Go" chants, in the Seattle stadium. It was an incredible place to be and to witness. I thought the Packers looked really sharp. Can you share with us, Mike, this story that you kind of found out in the locker room about one of those plays in that Seattle game that you got some intel on?
Yeah. Hey, by the way, a buddy of mine that's in radio in Seattle called me the Friday night before the game because he'd heard one of my reports, and he said, I don't know about that 12th man thing. I mean, it hasn't been as intense since the Legion of Boom, Richard Sherman and those guys, and Pete Carroll left. And you heard Packer fans chanting, "Go Pack Go" early in the game. So there was one play, the Packers had a brilliant first half against the Seahawks.
Yep.
And but in the third quarter, here they had these letdowns, and they had punts and some miscues, and it's like if you think you're going to get deep into the playoffs, you got to play 4 quarters. One of the plays was you see Jordan Love back there in the shotgun. And when you look at the NBC tape of this, you can see this clearly in the all 22. Jordan Love's back there to pass, and so Josh Myers at center, who's made some mistakes, he turns to the right and starts helping out with Big Cat Williams, along with right guard Sean Ryan. Well, this leaves an inside linebacker who's lined up over the left guard, Jenkins, wide open. He just walks through this huge opening through the middle of the line, and now is about to kill Jordan Love, who manages to dump the ball off over the middle to Josh Jacobs. So I asked LaFleur about this the other day, first day back from Seattle. I said, what happened on that play? And he goes, I've been looking at a bunch of Saints team. I don't think I remember the play. Listen, I'll look it up and I'll tell you back tomorrow. I'm like, yeah, sure. Right. He just doesn't want to talk about it.
Right.
So then we talked to Jordan Love. We're around his locker, and I tell the same story. He goes, yeah, I don't know. I don't remember. So about 10 minutes later, after the media scrum has left Jordan, he waves me over, and he leans over to me and he goes, inside screen.
Inside screen.
Oh, it's a screenplay. Oh, what a beautiful thing, Jordan. I go, yeah. So that opens it up. So the linebacker comes in, and now Josh Jacobs is wide open over the middle. Oh, okay, thank you. So the next day we're at practice, and LaFleur comes over, and he says, now he never comes over to talk to the media. Practice is supposed to be like a game-like condition. And the PR staff's getting nervous because they think, oh, God, coach is upset. He comes running over, and he goes, Clemens, that play you asked me about, I looked it up. I go, inside screen? Yeah, how'd you find out? Jordan told me.
I love it.
He broke down the whole play. He says, "Yeah, we found that linebacker. If you did this," I said, "Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. I'm all good." And I even talked to Josh Myers about it. He says he showed me how he did the fake block and then turned in. So anyway, we're looking for that one.
We're talking with sports reporter Mike Clemens. It's 44 minutes past the hour. We're talking about Monday Night Football tonight. The Packers hosting the Saints pregame time on select Civic Media stations at 7 o'clock. Kickoff on NBC Monday Night Football coming up tonight and just after 7 o'clock. Mike, I want to talk about this thing that's come up in the fans are talking a lot about Toyotathon. Here's a cut of Coach Matt LaFleur asked about this a couple days ago.
Are you aware of the well, probably not because you're so focused on coaching the team, but people just think Jordan starts playing well when Toyotathon starts happening. Are you aware of this?
I'm not aware of that.
Okay, so there's a huge thing online, and it's being talked about on national television.
I don't even know what the hell Toyotathon is.
Toyotathon is Toyota's year-end sales event where from mid-November until early January, they have all their cars on sale.
I'm a GM guy, just for the record.
Okay, good. No free shout-outs. And people during Toyotathon, the last 2 years, Jordan has 24 touchdown passes and 2 interceptions. And before Toyotathon, the numbers are not nearly as good. So they were literally talking on ESPN last week about how Jordan Love is a Toyotathon quarterback. So I just didn't know if you had heard that yet. But you would agree that he's, playing his best ball of the season right now?
I think this is the best I've seen him. Just consistently doing what we need to do to move the football.
And when you say he's playing his best, does that include last seaseason as well?
I believe so.
Okay.
And he played pretty damn well a year ago. So
well, that's why I was asking.
That's the cut from Matt Schneiderman, the Matt Schneiderman show. I want to give them credit to that. I ask you, Mike Clemens, our sports reporter, is there anything to Jordan Love and Toyotathon?
I don't know. I know that's a story that Matt's been running with. I just think it's a beautiful thing when when he's in sync with Christian Watson for deep balls. When Romeo Doubs is healthy and can make some spectacular catches like he did last weekend against the Saints. Jordan throws one that's low and away in the end zone, but Doubs is able to make a tremendous catch and do that. They seem to have gotten away a little bit from Dontavian Wicks, who's doing a great job blocking downfield for him. But then obviously Josh Jacobs in there. So will Luke Musgrave play tonight? I don't think so. He was limited in practice all this week. He's coming off of ankle surgery. Jair Alexander, full participation in practice. He's been out since October 27th with this torn PCL. He's listed as questionable, and LaFleur wouldn't let on. But, you certainly want to have Alexander ready next weekend against the Vikings when you got to cover Justin Jefferson, which, by the way, that game has been flexed now to 325 against the Vikings. And as for the Saints, Alvin Kamara, their great running back, injured his groin in that game against the Commanders last week, so he's going to be out of the game. Marquez Valdes-Scantling, former Packers receiver, after picking up a couple of rings with the Chiefs and then some time with the Buffalo Bills, he's now with the Saints. He had a chest injury last week against the Commanders, and then a flu bug's going around. The Saints, he's questionable for tonight. And the Saints got here early, so they could have a walkthrough in Green Bay. And Spencer Rattler, the quarterback, said that their quarterback's coach took them into a freezer in New Orleans where they went through the script of the plays just to feel like what 10 degrees was like. How about that?
Yeah, you don't get 10 degrees in New Orleans very often. The Lions, the Eagles, the Vikings in. Correct me if I'm wrong. The Packers absolutely secure a postseason path with a win tonight.
If they win tonight. Absolutely.
So it should be an interesting game. Anything I didn't ask you, Mike, you think is important for our listeners to know about tonight's game?
No, just that it would be interesting if they do bring back Jair or Luke Musgrave. As they try and get these guys back. Luke and Tucker Kraft. Tucker Kraft has done such a great job at tight end.
Yeah.
And ESPN did a stats thing. Of the 2,000 snaps that have been taking place since those guys got into the league last year, they've only been on the field at the same time for 175.
Wow.
So imagine what that could be like if they could have that two tight end personnel that LaFleur likes to run with his offense.
Yeah. Mike Clemens, you're always doing great work for us. I know you'll be there covering the game. You'll have updates on the Civic Media Radio Network. We appreciate you, my friend. Have a great call, or not call, but great game tonight. You want to give us an insight? Who you like tonight?
I don't do predictions. I mean, the odds makers got the Packers by 14.5 points.
Yeah.
And, that would be dandy if the Packers could put another 30 points up. They're on a run right now in terms of the points that they put up. But you'd just like to see 4 quarters. You'd like to make sure that you don't have any additional serious injuries.
Mike Clemens, thank you so very much. Happy holidays to you, my friend. Stay safe, stay warm.
You too, Todd. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike Clemens, our sports reporter. Come on back. Board Game of the Week after this.
To Madison's real news and great conversation, 92.7 WMDX.
Bring in the new year at the Lazy Oaf Lounge in Madison. Enjoy
Was it
live
stretching?
music from Saturday morning cocktail and free
the horns in my
champagne jello
head
shots
like,
at
whoa.
both 10 p.m.
Like
and
stereophonic.
midnight. Take $2 off Tito's mixers, 16-ounce cans of Bud Light or Miller Lite, just $2.50. Must be 21. Please drink responsibly. Hungry? The delicious late-night menu will be available until midnight on New Year's Eve at the Lazy Oaf Lounge, 1617 North Stoughton Road in Madison. Visit lazyoaflounge.com.
Hi, this is John from the John and Gordy Morning Show. Dane County Humane Society believes pets make wonderful gifts for those ready to welcome a new family member. Before getting someone a pet, Dane County Humane Society recommends discussing what they're looking for. Even better, offer to take them to the Dane County Humane Society to find their new companion. This way, you can be part of the process, and they can experience the magic of finding their new best friend. Learn more at giveshelter.org.
The John and Gordy Show.
The can of coffee that I had here for our coffee maker, I don't know what happened to it, but it tasted like cigarettes. The first time I brewed the coffee maker here. I don't know if I've gotten used to it or if the flavor has just gone away somehow.
Maybe people are putting their cigarette butts out in that can and you didn't know it.
Weekday mornings 6 till 8 on 92.7 WMDX and the Civic Media app.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early.
Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. It is 9 before the hour of 2 o'clock. Coming up at the top of the hour, ABC and CBS News, depending upon which of the stations you are listening to across the Civic Media Radio Network. An update from our sports reporter, who you just heard, Mike Clemens. Many thanks for Mike for taking time to be on the program today, talking about the big Monday Night Football game, which gets underway at 5 p.m. with a pregame show in Richland Center, Park Falls, and Racine Kenosha on those stations, respectively. Kickoff just after 7 o'clock tonight on NBC. Looking forward to that. NBC. Good gosh, ABC and ESPN. Pardon me. Too many games to keep track of there, Mr. Sommers. So
there are a lot.
Anyway, now tomorrow, hang on to your hats and Kringle and hot chocolate. Our special Christmas holiday Hanukkah show. All things holiday tomorrow. Looking forward to that, Mr. Sommers. Going to do some more Christmas music. We're going to play most of songs. We don't normally do that, but it's a special show because I think music to both of us means a lot. So we're going to have a special Christmas holiday show tomorrow. And then on Christmas Day proper, the network is going to play all Christmas music. So if you're having a dinner or what have you, a gathering, you can turn us on and hear some great Christmas tunes in the background. And then Thursday and Friday of this week, Mr. Zommers and I are going to look back at our What Makes Wisconsin Great tours, a year in review, revisiting some of the great interviews that Trygve Olsen and Jane Matnair and I had as we traveled around the state of Wisconsin. We should have kept track or something. I don't have the number of cities and places that we visited, but
I don't either.
I would guess at least 50 if you add up all the different sites and.
Well, if you include, aside from just what makes Wisconsin great,
Yeah.
just all your
yeah.
traveling,
Yeah.
probably. If it's otherwise just what makes Wisconsin great, it's probably like 15.
Yeah, probably. If you do all the different places we broadcast from, but yeah,
That's a lot. Yeah.
that's a lot. But we learned a lot this year, and some of the best parts. We're going to revisit the Culver's interview, the great folks at Culver's, Wonder Steak Coffee, and many, many more. So be with us on Thursday and Friday as we look back at the year in review, what makes Wisconsin great. Things that are not particularly partisan or political, but just things that bring us all together, which, again, I think we need more of that in the year ahead. It is make it 6 minutes before the hour of 2 o'clock. Gary in Sussex is on the line. Gary, we've got to get to a board game of the week. Do you have something quick?
Well, I got a joke for you if you like to hear.
All right, quick one. Go ahead.
There's this guy sitting at the bar and he's all depressed. And it's like 2 o'clock in the morning and they're ready to close. And there's like a big guy, a motorcycle, Harley guy, 6'6", standing on the other side. The guy has his beer and he keeps putting it by his lips and he puts it down. He puts it by his lips and he puts it down. This went on for an hour. The big Harley guy goes over and he grabs a beer and he guzzles it down. And all of a sudden the guy starts crying and the big guy says, "Hey, don't worry about it. I'll buy you another beer. Oh, man, my day's been going so bad. First of all, my house burned down. My wife left me. My dog I can't find. And I poisoned my beer because I just couldn't stand it anymore."
He poisoned his beer because, oh my, I hope the guy was okay. Hey, Gary, Merry Christmas to you.
Wasn't.
And we hope that you're doing well.
You too.
All right.
And then Mr. Dahmers.
All right. Thank you very much,
bye.
Gary. It is 5 before the hour of 2. Time once again for a board game of the week. Let's go.
Welcome back for another board game of the week, a stocking stuffer edition.
Stocking stuffer edition. All
So
right.
I have here in my hot little hands, as Todd likes to say, Sears catalog, not SEARS, SEERS, like a seer, like seeing into the future, like magical powers. It is based on that pun. It's a game where every player is a seer and trying to protect their village from werewolves, but you only have so much space to carry your anti-werewolf items. So you're trying to keep just the essentials. I'll read the explanation on the back.
Please do.
A full moon is coming. It's time to gear up with items from the latest Sears catalog, full of Seer-specific goodies. But the werewolves are never too far away, and you have limited space in which to store all these great items. In order to be successful, end up with the most powerful items and the least unnecessary fluff.
Nice. I like that. It's compact. It would fit in most stockings, I think.
Yes. And it's a card game. It's a trick-taking game where basically you have cards with numbers at different suits, and each one of them is some kind of, fun little werewolf item, like a moon blocker stops transformation in its tracks. It's just like a little screen on a stand that blocks the moonlight, I guess. A bunch of goofy stuff like that. But you play different, runs or pairs or things that you might expect in other card games, and you're trying to get rid of almost all the cards in your hand. You want to keep one or two at the end so you can get points, because if you get rid of everything, you don't get anything.
All right.
So
very good. It's called
Sears Catalog.
Sears, SEERS catalog. How much does it cost?
It is $15.
$15. You can't beat it with a stick. All right. That is your board game of the week. So you're taking off to Manitowoc tomorrow.
Yes.
Very
I'm going to
good.
stick around today and do laundry.
Yes, I did some of that. Speaking of Sunday night or Monday morning, I did some of that last night. So, we'll see. Don't forget many of our central counties in Wisconsin, just south of just south of Wausau, down the Rapids area, Stevens Point area, over to La Crosse, and then back on the eastern side, Green Bay and Oshkosh area, down to, say, the Wisconsin Dells line, Richland County. All those central counties under a winter weather advisory, 2, 3, maybe 4 inches of snow over by Manitowoc, 1 to 3 inches in the central and southwest part of the state. So be careful out there, folks. Make it a very Merry Christmas. We're going to have our holiday show tomorrow. Happy Hanukkah, as well. A special holiday show tomorrow. Christmas music on Wednesday proper, and then a week or a year in review of our What Makes Wisconsin Great tour. Merry Christmas, Mr. Zommers. Appreciate you.
Merry Christmas to you as well.
Thank you so very much. A Merry Christmas to each and every one of you. Be safe out there. Whatever you're fighting for, whatever you believe in, do not give up. Keep banging your drum. Monday Night Football tonight on most of this, or some of the Civic Media radio stations. Stay tuned. Maggie Dawn is next. Talk to you tomorrow.
Yes, the Maggie Dawn Show, guest hosted by Jim Santel.
Oh, very good. All right, very good. Well, thanks, everybody. Have a nice weekend.
Adios.
Or week.
Travel safe if you're traveling.
Bye.